It's nice to have you join us. You're watching Newsroom series on Channels Television. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Today, our focus is on the North Central. But first, here's our top stories. The Supreme Court has dismissed the trial of retired Major Hamza Al-Mustapha, a former chief security officer to the late military ruler General Sani Abacha, in connection with the murder of the late Kudirat Abiola. At the day's proceedings, Lagos State was slated to reopen the trial, but no legal representation was made, while no process was filed since 2014 when the order to reopen the case was granted in its favor. The counsel to Al-Mustapha, Paul Daudu, informed the justices of the Apex Court that Lagos had taken no step to implement the order granted it in 2014 to reopen the trial. He said that not even a notice of appeal was filed by Lagos State as the appellant to demonstrate its seriousness to prosecute the trial, despite the 30-day ultimatum to file its notice of appeal. He therefore urged the court to hold that the appellant has abandoned the case and should be dismissed in its entirety. The presiding judge, Justice Wani Abaji, sought to know if Lagos State was served with hearing notice. The registrar of the court answered in the affirmative. In a unanimous decision, the Supreme Court agreed that Lagos State has lost interest in the matter and consequently dismissed. Now, the Chief Judge of Rivers State, Justice Simeon Amadi, has declined a request by the Rivers State House of Assembly to constitute a 7-man investigative panel to probe allegations of gross misconduct against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, Professor Ngozi Maodu, citing subsisting court orders and a pending appeal. Now, Justice Amadi's position was conveyed in a formal letter addressed to the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martin Amewule, acknowledging receipt of 2 separate requests from the legislature dated January the 16th, 2026. The requests were made pursuant to sections 188.4 and 188.5 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, following resolutions of the House to initiate impeachment proceedings against the governor and his deputy. While according to the Chief Judge, the Assembly requests were accompanied by extensive documentation, including copies of the Notice of Allegations of Gross Misconduct, the River State Impeachment Panel Conduct of Investigations Procedure 2025, and relevant newspaper publications. However, Justice Amadi disclosed that his office had earlier been served with 2 interim injunctions issued by the River State High Court sitting in Oyigbo on January the 16th this year. Now, the suit filed by the Deputy Governor and filed by Governor Siminalayi Fubara listed the Speaker and 32 others as defendants, with the Chief Judge named as the 32nd defendant. Now, the interim orders expressly restrain the Chief Judge from receiving, forwarding, considering or howsoever acting on any request, resolution, articles of impeachment or other communication from the House of Assembly in relation to the impeachment process for a period of 7 days. But beyond the subsisting injunctions, Justice Amadi noted that the House of Assembly itself has filed an appeal against the interim orders at the Court of Appeal. He then invoked the legal doctrine of lease pendens, stressing that once a matter is before a higher court, all parties are bound to maintain the status quo pending its determination. Now, the federal government is committed to grow the livestock subsector of the Nigerian economy from $32 billion to over $74 billion in contributions to the nation's gross domestic product in 10 years, and that's according to the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development. While speaking at a one-day stakeholders engagement in Ilorin for 250 stakeholders in livestock businesses organized by the Kwara State government, the Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Meha, said food security is integral to national security. Represented by Special Advisor Mr. Mark Mbaram, the minister explained that the ministry has established a national livestock growth acceleration strategy to actualize its goal of increasing contributions to the nation's GDP, adding that the strategy has been internalized and approved by the National Economic Council. For the Kwara State Commissioner for Livestock Development, Mrs. Oloruntuyose Thomas, the future of livestock and agriculture is bright, even as she urged stakeholders to be part of those to grow it economically.
We want to grow the livestock sector of Nigeria's economy from $32 billion denominated contribution to GDP to $74 billion or more in 10 years. That food security is as integral to national security that it is a front burner issue. And His Excellency the President, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, in recognizing the need to enhance our capacity as a nation, in food security, decided to extricate, somebody said liberate, I would prefer to use the term extricate, the Ministry of Livestock Development from the hitherto parent Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Whether you're talking large ruminants, you're talking small ruminants, which is sheep and goats, you're talking poultry, you're going all the way down to even beekeeping, apiculture, small ruminants in themselves, or micro ruminants, grass cutters and all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a humongous sector.
We've come together to talk about the future of the livestock sector in Kwara State, to identify with all of the stakeholders, to engage with our stakeholders. We have been doing that and we will continue to do that. What the future is for livestock in Kwara State, to understand what the government do to help everybody. We have all the actors, all the players across the livestock chain, and we all contribute significantly. So we want to know what is it that Kwara State government has to help you, to continue to grow, to scale, and also to contribute to the development of the state and Nigeria.
In Benue, the State Investment Property Company has recovered 3 properties belonging to the state government worth over 350 million naira, but diverted for private purpose after using public funds to acquire them. A group managing director of BIPC, Mr. Raymond Asekamaha, disclosed this while briefing journalists on the 2-day recovery exercises which the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has been invited to foreclose 2 of the 3 properties. He further says a plaza and 1 hectare land along George Akume Way were purchased in October and November of 2016 as investments for the BIPC, but was diverted and registered under a private interest, defrauding the state.
Yaman Park, a popular drop zone for those arriving in Makadi, the Benue State capital, just by the food basket roundabout in Wukurum, has been recovered and structures built within and around it demolished by the Benue State government. The 7,000 square meters of land was designated as Government Park in 2003, but was reportedly diverted same year into private use for over 23 years.
This land was purchased. BIPC made a prosy investment that they never see what they call return on the investment. So in the course of our investigation, we also discovered that the certain accounts that they moved that money was closed. But we have to reopen it and trace the money down to this place. And we have recovered it. No, we are not stopping here. EFCC is already on the matter to foreclose it. And we have to put our presence because they are trying to sell this very land.
By government coming here to do a very sensitive thing here now, this also increase the job creation, and the youths who are on the street will also be picked from the street now to be empowered in this place.
Transport operators who previously hired space to run their businesses appeal for an alternative garage space.
This incident that is happening today, we saw it as a development in one side, but on the other side it has affected us. But this is where we feed our families, this is where we earn our livings. So we are appealing to the government to do everything possible to give us a place where we can say to take care of our families, to do our jobs.
On the second day of the recovery exercise, the team head to Tawasi Agbadu Axis to reclaim this plaza purchased with BIPC funds in October 2016, but diverted for private interest. The state also mounts a takeover notice on this mass expanse of land opposite Catholic Youth Center, both under the same scheme.
In 2003, the executive governor then, His Excellency the executive governor then, Akume, allocate this for motor park. But later on, some people apply, which he also revoke it and say the land is designated for motor park. But you can see what we are trying to do, and we are going to recover, and we will emphasize and translate, because we want to change the outlook of Benue, and the only way to do is what we are doing today.
The state government says it plans to develop these properties into commercial interests that will address housing and business needs of the people.
The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Wahid Shaibu, has reaffirmed that effective and realistic training remains central to the Nigerian Army's ability to respond decisively to emerging security threats across the country. He stated this while declaring open the 2026 Divisional Training Officers Training Week at the headquarters of 3 Division of the Nigerian Army in Jos Plateau State, where senior officers and training commanders from formations across the country converged to review strategies for enhancing operational readiness.
The Chief of Army Staff arrives at the headquarters of 3 Division, where a guard of honor is mounted in his honor. He inspects the guard before proceeding to the 3 Division Auditorium, venue of the opening ceremony of the Divisional Officers Training Week 2026. Lieutenant General Wahid Shaibu describes the program as a strategic investment in the future effectiveness of the Nigerian Army, stressing that the fate of battles are decided on the training grounds. He charged divisional training officers to ensure that training across formations is realistic, mission-oriented, and aligned with contemporary operational realities.
Let me remind you that our contemporary operating environment demands more from us as threats that we face today are more volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. To prevail, we must train as we intend to fight. Sound, realistic, and progressive training remains the foundation of operational success. As deep training officers, we play a critical role in shaping the competence, mindset, and resilience of our officers and soldiers.
The training week reflects the Nigerian Army's commitment to adaptive and forward-looking training capability of addressing evolving and asymmetric threats.
Training remains the lifeblood of any professional army. In an era marked by evolving threats, asymmetric warfare, and complex internal security challenges, enhancing professional and operational readiness through adaptive and responsive training has become a strategic necessity rather than an option. Training officers therefore occupies a pivotal role in translating doctrine, lessons learned, and operational directives into practical, effective training and formation and unit levels.
It's the first major training activity of the year aimed at setting the tone for improved combat effectiveness across formations of the Nigerian Army.
Training is a primary vehicle at which we can view our troops. Their adaptability requires to confront and subdue rotating threats in our asymmetric threat environment. It is only by training that our troops can be conditioned into a combat-ready and resilient force. Current operating environment demands a deliberate and realistic approach to successfully navigate the complex terrain of the contemporary battle space.
The week-long program features lectures, interactive sessions, and experience sharing focused on leadership development, mission-specific training, and welfare-driven soldiers' readiness as the Nigerian Army continues efforts to strengthen professionalism and combat preparedness across all theaters of operations. Percy Dabang, Channels Television News.
When we come back after the break, in Nasarawa State, the State Police Command gives its briefing and a scorecard in the for the month of January in Lafia. Please join us again. Welcome back. At least 7 people were killed yesterday night after gunmen attacked a tin mining site in Kuru community of Jos South local government area of Plateau State. Now, the assailants reportedly opened fire sporadically, leaving several of the miners dead and others fleeing in fear. Now, troops of Sector 6, Operation Safe Haven, were alerted to the incident by a local resident and immediately mobilized to the area to restore some normalcy. Meanwhile, Plateau State Police spokesperson Alfred Alabo confirmed the attack but said full details were still being verified as investigations are ongoing. Honorable Dialop Isaac, representing Jos South, has described the assault as another deadly attack on miners. It's the second incident in under 2 months following a similar one in Fan Village where 12 miners were killed. Keeping residents safe comes to the fore yet again, and the Nigeria Police is restating its commitment towards discharging its responsibilities of ensuring the security of lives and property in Nasarawa State. The State Commissioner of Police, CP Shetima Mohammed, made the remarks when he presented the scorecard of the command for the month of January in Lafia, the state capital, highlighting the importance of synergy between the people and the police. He revealed that 10 suspected kidnappers and 2 armed robbers were arrested with 5 firearms, 2 magazines and 2 ammunition recovered from operations carried out by his personnel across the state. During the period, he adds that 7 victims were rescued from kidnappers and 17 suspected human trafficking victims rescued as well.
I urge members of the public not to relent in their support. The command remains resolute in its commitment to upholding the rule of law, and will continue to intensify effort to ensure lasting peace and security in Nasarawa State. And in conclusion, I want to thank the Executive Governor. I want to thank the IGP for giving us the platform to operate effectively without any interference. And also, we want to acknowledge and thank the resilience and assistance which has been given to us by the Executive Governor of the state, which make all this, our operation, make it very smoothly and successful. We really appreciate members of the public who are always willing to give us credible information in order to achieve our aim of policing.
Meanwhile, the Niger State Police Command has recorded significant successes in its ongoing fight against crime and criminality across Minna Metropolis, with the arrest of several suspects for theft, robbery, thuggery, and drug-related offenses. In a statement issued by the Police Public Relations Officer, SP Wasiu Abiola, the command disclosed that on January the 5th this year, police operatives attached to Chanchaga Division arrested one Aliyu Mohammed of Chanchaga for allegedly stealing a Lister engine, a drum, and other items valued at over 1 million naira from a shop entrusted to him near a mosque. The suspect confessed during interrogation and led police to one Ibrahim Muazu of Sabon Titi who bought the stolen items. The Lister engine was recovered and both suspects were charged to court. In another development, 4 suspects were arrested for criminal conspiracy, grievous assault and thuggery following an attack on a vigilante operative in Bakungu on December the 24th last year, 2025. The Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room has expressed a deep concern over the failure of the National Assembly to conclude the passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2025, in 2025 that is, and the continued delay by the Senate in acting on a bill already passed by the House of Representatives. The Situation Room warns that this delay, now worsened by a prolonged parliamentary recess extending into 2026, threatens Nigeria's electoral reform process and undermines timely preparations for the 2027 general elections. The group is therefore asking the National Assembly to immediately prioritize and pass the Electoral Act Amendment Bill upon resumption on January the 27th, and without further delay, transmit the bill to President Bola Tinubu for his assent on passage.
The Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room expresses grave concern over the failure of the National Assembly to conclude passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill in 2025, and the Senate's continued delay in acting on a bill already passed by the House of Representatives. This inaction, now compounded by a prolonged National Assembly recess extending into 2026, undermines Nigeria's electoral reform process and threatens timely preparations for the 2027 general elections. Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room concludes the following calls to action. Number one, immediately prioritize the Electoral Act Amendment Bill upon resumption on 27th January 2026. Conclude all outstanding legislative action on it without further delay and pass the bill within January 2026.
Former President of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, top politicians and the Kwara State government are paying tribute to the 12th Chief Imam of Ilorin, Sheikh Mohammed Bashir Soliu, who died at the age of 75. The revered cleric was described as humble and peace-loving, whose sermons positively touched the lives of millions across the country.
The remains of the 12th Chief Imam of Ilorin, Sheikh Mohammed Bashir Soliu, arrived at General Tunde Idiagbo International Airport and is received by government officials, Islamic scholars, and members of the Muslim community. Appointed in 1998, the Chief Imam is renowned for guiding and propagating Islam within Ilorin, the capital of Kwara State, and other parts of the country for over 4 decades. He died at the age of 75 after a brief illness.
I was with the Chief Imam some 10 days ago, and he told me a lot the governor has been doing, even taking care of his medicals. I know the governor will be very, or I would say he will feel this grief more than all of us.
The death of the Chief Imam of Ilorin is not only a loss to the Muslim community of Ilorin, but to the entire Nigeria, because his experience as an Islamic scholar is rare.
Thousands of sympathizers gather at the palace of the Emir of Ilorin for the final prayers ahead of the burial of the religious leader. The large crowd and late-night arrival prevented the final prayer from taking place, and it was subsequently moved to the next day. The crowd continued to pour in as early as 8 a.m., with dignitaries arriving from various parts of the country to pay their last respect.
As a community, the state, Kwara State, also the country, Chief Imam was a very devoted man to his community. He was very humble. His wisdom, his love for peace in the community, his integrity, fearless. I was always speaking to the truth, speaking to the doctrine of Islam.
The remains of the Sheikh was later taken to his private residence in the Egbejila area of Ilorin, where he was laid to rest, according to Islamic rites.
And that's Newsroom Series with our focus on the North Central. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun.